Welcome back. I hope you had some fun playing around with all of the functions and tools. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how layers work in Adobe Illustrator and these artboards that you may hear about. So I'm going to go to Window, Artboards. Open up this panel right here. And I'm going to go to Window, Layers. I'm actually going to click and nest this over here. You can see these blue highlights and I'll just snap into it. So I like to kind of think about artboards as separate sheets of paper on a desk that I'm working on. So in my artboards panel, I can just go to this new page and it gives me a new artboard. The reason why you would have different artboards, let's say we're working for a branding. So we have a newsletter header to work on, postcards, business cards, and we all just kind of want to work them all together. And that might be a reason to have multiple artboards. Typically in this class, we're just going to use the one artboard. Sometimes personally I'll just use a couple to play around and then I only work at the one artboard. But if I have multiple artboards going on, I can kind of toggle back and forth. If I go down here, I can go to switch from one artboard to two. We'll zoom out. If I go to this little kind of sheet of paper at these lines, it's the artboard tool. I can change the scale or even place the arrangement on where I want my artboards to be. I can make sizes arrangements there. I'm just going to take this second artboard and delete it because I really, in this class, you only really need to work on one, but I felt it was important to address. And your other Illustrator classes will get more in depth in it. So I'm going to just put a few shapes down. Might take a paintbrush tool and just put something down. And I want to put some pen tool down as well. And I'm going to change the pen tool's color so everything is different. And the brush has some very different. So I can arrange things how I want. All right. I'm going to go to my layers panel and you see I only have one layer. But if I toggle down, every time I've created a shape, a path, a brush, it becomes its own part. And you can see this little square here indicates what I'm looking at. And I can hide it there. And this may be really helpful you can arrange things in the stack in here as well, which is very helpful when you have larger projects with all these little lines. You'll notice them there as well. You can create a new layer and you can lock a layer so you don't accidentally move things. And I can take that, and since that first layer is locked, I won't be able to change it. And I can change the color. I can even change the stroke size and move it around and play it around there. So let's say I have this beautiful creation and I want to save it. So I go to File, Save As. Actually, it has me in my templates. And I'm going to save it as my name. Illustrator is a really long word. You notice that I'm never using spaces. Never, ever, ever, ever use a space in a title. Now, typically, you'll notice it's fine, but sometimes when you submit it to somewhere, it won't be able to read it. Code tends to not like spaces, so never use a space. If you have to use a space, use an underline or a dash. Capital letters are always great as well. When you number things, always do a 0, 1 as opposed to just 1. So I'm going to save it as an AI file. This will be like my PSD. It's going to save all of my functions. This is my Illustrator vector file. I'll click Save and click OK. Now I'm going to save it as a JPEG. Now I can't typically go File, Save As, and there's no, if you see toggle down, there's no JPEG. There's only vector files. I can save it as a PDF or an SVG, but all of those are vector files. We need to save it as a JPEG, which is going to flatten everything out. When you send someone an Illustrator file, if they don't have Illustrator, they can't open it. It takes longer to load. I always like to save JPEG and Illustrator. That's what you need to do for this class. You need both copies. So you'll need to go to File, Export, Export As. And so open up a dialog box, just like before, and there's different formats. We're going to save, export as JPEG. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to click the Use Artboards. And why are we doing this? If I move this over here, I have this line over here. If I don't click Use Artboards, it's going anywhere there's artwork that's on the sides or anything, it's going to save it. Always check Use Artboards. And if you have multiple artboards, you would do the range if you just want the one. Or not. But since we're only ever really going to use one artboard, don't worry about it. Just click Use Artboards and Export. So I'm going to open up this dialog box. Make sure this resolution is high, 300 dpi. And quality, well, it doesn't matter if it's CMYK or RGB for this class. Click OK. And there it is. There's our file. So these first two videos, we learned to open up Adobe Illustrator. We learned a little about the functions, kind of did a crash course on the shapes. You played around, looked at artboards and layers. Hopefully this is some information to get you kind of comfortable. Keep looking at other tutorials and pay attention to your other classes. Ask your peers. To get a little comfortable with it. We'll do more demos throughout the semester, but reminder, this is not a software class. So hopefully you guys have fun and definitely play for the next couple days. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.